Okay, so the fan is not slowing down on my car at the moment. I'm not quite sure why that is. I think the air conditioner needs regassing. It's a little job I have done in the past. I think I may have mentioned that I'd lived in Spain for a while. I lived in Spain for a while, a couple of years. Before that, commuted for a few years as well. In the southeast of Spain, a little village called Roldan. It was about an hour south of Alicante, well away from all the touristy stuff. Quite a nice place, quite dry climate, which I think made it easier to deal with the heat. The temperatures in Ireland are much cooler, but the humidity can be very high, and I find that can be a problem when trying to keep cool. Obviously, sweat, when it's produced, for it to cool the body, has to evaporate. And the thing about a very dense, humid air, well, it has nowhere to go, so it just it doesn't evaporate. And if it's not evaporating, it's not cooling you down, and you're a hot, sticky mess, basically. And I think we can all agree, nobody likes being a hot, sticky mess. Yeah, that's not really a good thing, is it? So yeah, I lived in Spain, and I suppose if you've listened to any of my episodes, I'm not a fan of Ryanair, but he did well for me. I got him quite a lot actually over the years, and I never had any checked-in baggage, and I always went priority. In those days you couldn't pick your seats, but I mean priority was good enough, I suppose. I did spend too much time at the airport though before the flight, just making sure that I could get the seat that I liked. And there was a couple of seats, maybe 3 seats on the Ryanair, the 737-800, I was going to say BMW then, 737-800 Boeing planes, the common plane that Ryanair used. There was about 3 seats that I really aimed for when I flew, and I don't know if it was a spot of OCD, but there were seats I always wanted to sit in whenever I partook. And they are, and this is for reference, so that if you're ever on board a Ryanair in future, you might want to check them out. So 8A, 9A, 10A. Yeah, no, they're all sort of behind each other, but they're also in front of the wing. And well, I'm sure we're all blissfully aware that the noise from an engine primarily comes out of its rear. Suck, squeeze, bang, blow. Very much like the internal combustion engine. So most modern engines, for reasons of fuel efficiency, have a very large fan at the front. That's the one that you can see when you look into the engine cowling itself. So obviously the air's going in there, so you're not going to hear the engine noise as much. Obviously there is engine noise going through the infrastructure, emanating from the engine, and also conveyed into the cabin. But if you were then to move aft and go after the engines, then you would notice that the noise got considerably worse. There's also a few other balance reasons, maybe aerodynamic reasons, why you might want to sit forward of the engines but not right at the front of the plane. It depends on the model of plane, and I know 757s handle turbulence very well indeed. Haven't been on quite a few across the Atlantic and in other places, and one of the best places to be is near the wings. I found that on a 757 the rear of the plane was probably the worst place to be, and you used to get people standing around there when they want to have stretch their legs. Not the best place to be, but on the 737-800 series, providing it's balanced properly, and it will be balanced properly, because if it's quite an empty plane, you probably notice there are certain seats that you can't sit in, and that's to balance the plane, because there's like an envelope that the plane has to fly within, and it's much easier to balance the plane if the weight is distributed in the correct fashion. So those are the 3 seats that I sort of would recommend. Aisle seats are always good on a long haul flight, and if you're lucky enough to be in an Airbus 330, doesn't matter which one, a 200 or a 300 series, Aer Lingus fly them across the Atlantic. Well, it's a 242 configuration, so you're never more than 1 seat from the aisle. So yeah, window seat isn't too bad. Pretty much any seat is reasonable, but an aisle seat just means if you want to get up during the flight, and if it's more than 5 or 6 hours, you're really going to want to, then at least you can get a walk around, go to the toilet, chat to other people on the plane. I think chatting to the captain is it's not encouraged anymore now. I think a few little things have happened over the years, unfortunately, that put pay to that. But there was a time I used to go up to the cockpit and I would have a chat with the pilot, and it was all really good fun. And I remember looking out and looking at the instruments, and I think I remember once the pilot talking me through coming into land and what they used to do. And it's a funny thing, really, but unfortunately, that's pretty much all gone now, I think, for reasons that we're probably all too well aware of. And it's always the minority that ruin it for the rest of us. I mean, the security checks at airports. Well, this is one of the reasons that I go business class all the way. I mean, you get to the airport and you have to take your belt off. And I mean, it's really hard for me to not let my trousers fall to the ground. You know, that's the huge risk for me. And in that sort of setting, a public setting, and then officials around, of course, all the security people, yeah, that would be really embarrassing indeed. So by going business class, there's less queues around, and there really is a better service. I'm treated much more like, well, the VIP that I really am. You know, I think everybody should be treated like a VIP, and I'm just lucky I'm in a position that I'm willing to pay for that service. So yes, and so security, fast track security, business class lounge, it's all good. Of course, it's a premium price. I actually was on the Dublin Airport website earlier today, and I did notice now that you can select a few of these little features, these little advancements, if you would like, even if you're just getting Ryanair. I think the one that piqued my interest above all the other little things, little options that you can pay for, the fast track security of the business lounges, was the Platinum service. So in Dublin Airport, there's a service called Platinum Service. Now, there is no way that everybody will be able to afford or even want to avail of this service. But it's so good, they don't really even describe it in detail on the website. So essentially, I'll explain exactly how it works and how much it costs, because I'm sure you want to know. So essentially, you could be flying on Ryanair. I mean, wow. You know what? There's a bit of logic, I think, to paying for fast track security and comfort before the flight. And then the shortest part of the whole operation is going to be the flight, probably. So maybe there's some logic with flying Ryanair, but going for the Platinum service. So the Platinum service works by you book it, pre-book it, you tell them if you're departing or arriving, and essentially you pay them online. You arrive at allotted time, and they know which flight you're going to get, you've told them that as well. And you park up in a private car park, and there's a building that you go into. And in this building, you are treated to luxurious comfort. You have to pass by security, yes, you have to drop off your bag, do the usual things, but it's all in a select VIP privacy that's normally only reserved for the likes of George Clooney and Nicki Minaj. You too could be like them. So you go in, you go through security, and then this is the most amazing thing. When it's time for you to board that flight, you don't have to walk 1.5 miles down Pier E to get to your Ryanair. You don't have to lift a finger. They have a fleet of BMWs waiting just for you. You come out, you get in the BMW, and they drive you to the plane. I mean, this is the piece de resistance. You get to the plane, and can you imagine the look? And this is what you're really paying for. The look on people's faces when they see this exclusive executive saloon coming alongside the plane. And you get out, and you walk up in absolute comfort. Now, isn't that a service? I really gonna try this. This is something I'm gonna go for at some point. I don't have the opportunity at the moment, unfortunately, but I will definitely be availing of this service. And I suppose it's probably important that I tell you now what the price is. And you know, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. this is going to be ridiculously expensive. This is going to be so prohibitively expensive. I can't do this, you know. Well, not me, but you. You know what I mean. Well, you're probably right. You probably can't afford to do this, you know. But I'm going to tell you anyway. I'm going to tell you how much this costs. For one person, on their own, it's €225. I don't think that's a huge amount when you think of costs involved, the time, effort, stress. If you was to pay for the business lounge, if you was to pay for fast track security, I don't think that's bad. If there's two of you travelling, you might be travelling with a young friend, an associate, a colleague. They'll do a special deal. They won't charge you €450. They'll do you a bundle, $360. Now that is one hell of a discount. It's almost worth trying to find someone to fly with.